This is the Seveso, Italy disaster. On Saturday, July 10th, 1976, ICM-ESA's trichlorophenyl reactor overheated due to small missteps made when shutting down operations for the weekend. This resulted in a major pressure buildup that would later release a massive amount of highly carcinogenic chemical 2,3,7,8 tetrachlorodibenzo, or dioxin, in a large cloud. Strong winds carried this cloud into the small town of Seveso, Italy, where thousands of residents were exposed to the toxic chemical. This disaster is marked as one of the greatest known incidents where dioxin was released into the atmosphere, as well as the greatest exposure to humans and animals alike. The effects on the environment, flora, and fauna. The effects on the environment include dust getting into the air, and it was considered toxic within the air. Ingestion of toxic food caused unfortunate symptoms as well. Vehicle speed was limited and no procreation was allowed, or it was severely limited. Regards of the flora, there was high plant mortality. Fruits, herbs, flowers, and vegetables grown in gardens were extremely affected. Dioxin was also in soil samples. This resulted in an effect on the fauna. There was also high animal mortality. There was toxicity of cattle, chickens, and other animals used for consumption, and this led to the slaughter of 80,000 animals. The toxins released were high levels of 2,3,7,8 tetrachlorodibenzo P-dioxin, or TCDD, and it is a potent endocrine disruptor, highly lipophilic, and extremely stable, with a long half-life in humans of 7 to 9 years. A runaway chemical reaction resulted in the release of an aerosol cloud that included sodium hydroxide, ethylene glycol, sodium trichlorophenate, and an estimated 15 to 30 kilograms of dioxin, or TCDD, over a 18-kilometer area. Bioaccumulation and magnification. The air and soil were exposed first. Dioxin was released into a cloud, floating into inhabited areas and infecting the surrounding atmosphere, water, and soil. This then affected the plants. The toxicity in the oil and atmosphere then infected the plants. Through photosynthesis and the nutrients in the soil, dioxin was introduced into the plants. Animal exposure resulted in exposition to the atmosphere, the water, and the animals that ate the plants that were already infected with dioxin, and then they were subsequently infected as well. This finally resulted in the human exposure. Humans were also breathing air that was toxic, and they were eating those intoxicated plants and animals. However, this was soon prohibited by government officials. Risk communication. A major gap in health management, preparedness, and safety execution of Italy's government was an extreme issue, big controversy. During the accident, precautions were taken against consumption of plants and animals exposed to the chemical, against procreation, and driving above certain speeds as to not stir up the dust, as well as interaction with others. Maintaining the cleanliness of skin was also a priority. The European Community issued a general directive in 1982. This required that every chemical company was to provide full information on hazardous sites, emergency plans, storage of dangerous substances, and accidental release scenarios. This ensured that the public was going to be informed about potential risks and protective actions that they could take necessary during an emergency. This also resulted in an increased effort to communicate risk hazard facilities to the community. Disaster remediation and payment. The cleanup of Seveso was of massive proportions. 35 families were relocated and rehoused, as well as businesses. Hundreds of homes were demolished and decontaminated. Soil and vegetation were removed from the gardens, and thousands of trees were replanted. 80,000 animals were killed to revitalize the food chain. The remaining debris were packed into 2 large tunnels, which 6 years later were finally filled. The plant was packed into 41 lead-lined barrels and removed from the site. The owners of the company that ran the factory, Swiss multinational Roche, paid up to $168 million in damages and recovery. Conclusion. The Seveso, Italy disaster was undoubtedly one of the most unfortunate and avoidable disasters of all time. Its safety regulations were correctly followed, this accident may have never happened, preventing illness in hundreds of people and saving the lives of thousands of animals. Environmental justice was eventually reached as Seveso was cleaned up and the government established even better directives for potential accidents in the future. Roche was made to pay for the damages to the environment and citizens of Seveso. These are my citations. Thank you.